Hey, it's B Doll again, and welcome to my Wrestle Kingdom 20 review. New Japan Pro Wrestling's biggest show of the year, Tokyo, Japan, in front of a sold-out Tokyo Dome. About 60,000 fans, if I'm not mistaken, and we're all here for one reason only, to why the Tokyo Dome sold out tonight, and that is for the retirement of Hiroshi Tanahashi, the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the current president of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And obviously, his career speaks for himself. He has been in his company for over 26 years now as a professional wrestler. He's basically done everything in New Japan Pro Wrestling that has to offer, from an 8-time IWGP World Champion, a 3-time G1 winner, 2-time New Japan Cup winner, IWGP US Champion, Intercontinental Champion, never Openweight 6-man tag champion, IWGP Tag Champion, never Openweight Champion, TV Champion, even Red Pro Champion, other titles that I'm sure he's won all across the world. But like I said, he is the biggest name, one of the biggest names ever in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he ends his career tonight in the main event. But obviously, there is a lot going on in this show, so let's get right into it. Now, I will say this. I actually did watch the entire show live also. It started for me maybe about 12 a.m., if I want to be correct, but I think the pre-show started at 12 a.m., and then the main show started at 1. Listen, if this was a weekday, I would not really be watching the show this late at night, but given it was on a weekend and I didn't really have nowhere to go the next day, I was like, you know what, I'm going to watch this show in its entirety. And I have to say, I did enjoy the show. I will say, going into it, I can't say the card is really that strong. We already know what we're here for, but I feel like it was only maybe 2 or 3 matches that really mattered. I'll kind of get through the pre-show. I don't really have a lot to say about it. I know they had a tag match, and I don't want to get these guys' names wrong. I know it's just basically for, the young lions out there, but Katsuya Murashima and Masato Sayuda went against Shoma Katsudo and Tetsuya Masatomo. Basically, Katsuya and Masatora won. Like I said, it's a tag match, so I don't have much to say about it. So that was like one of the pre-show matches. The other pre-show match was the New Japan TV champion, El Phantasmo, versus Chris Brooks. I believe he is from the DDT promotion. I don't really know much about this guy. I know he came out there with like 3 other guys, and for some reason, there was a guy with a puppet, and they had a part of the match where they pulled like the strings and all that stuff. So I don't really know what was going on there. It was a good match, though. I will say that for the pre-show. Like I said, I don't really know much about Chris Brooks. Like I said, El Phantasmo ended up winning. I know he did like the CR2, and then he did the the Thunder Kiss 86 for the win. So like I said, I don't got a lot to say about this match, given it was the pre-show matches. But like I said, it was a kickoff match. But we actually do get into the main show. I know they had Chris Charlton and Walker Stewart on commentary. Listen, I'm going to say this right now. The first official match of this entire pay-per-view was basically a clusterfuck, okay? This is a never open-weight 6-man Tornado Rambo match. Now, if you know the New Japan Rambo, they do this usually every year on the pre-show or sometimes the main show. Nowadays, they put on the main show to get some shot at a title, maybe. Usually be some surprises or maybe some returns or some up-and-comers or people you don't usually expect when it comes to the New Japan Rambo. But this was for the never openweight 6-man tag titles. Like I said, I'm not gonna try to go everything over this match because it was just too much going on. And like I said, this is an elimination style match, okay? So until it gets like the final 2 teams, then I think that's when somebody, it can be by pinfall, and then somebody wins the title. So I know the first team out there was Shooter at Shota Umino and Yua Uemura and Kasai Takechi. I don't know much about him. He had a whole band coming out to play him to the ring, so I don't know who he was, honestly. He just had a whole band playing with him, like a whole like backup dancers and stuff. But like I said, I don't know much about him. I think because they are the current. No, they're not the current tag champions, but I know they were the first team out there. And the other teams that were throughout this match too was like Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, and Bolton Oleg, TMDK, Zack Sabre Jr., Ryo, I can't say his name right, Owa and Hartley Jackson, Tiger Mask, Toki Makabe, and Ryusuke Taguchi. Bullet Club War Dogs, the IWGP Tag Champions, Oscar and Yuto Ice, and Clark Connors, and Thekla made an appearance too from AEW. I've seen Thekla around Bullet Club War Dogs a lot. I think she's mostly around Clark Connors, to what I've heard. I don't know what's going on there or anything, but I know she was in Stardom and stuff. But she did make a little bit of a quick appearance in this match. Team 150 of Tomohiro Ishii, Taichi, and Satoshi Kojima. House of Torture, Sonata, and his very light up suit with yellow rocket boots for some reason. I call him either Dennis Rodman or Jeff Jarrett at this point, since he comes out with a guitar and hits people over the head with it. I don't know what they got Sonata doing nowadays, but him, Yoshinobu Karamaru, and Ren Narita. The current champions, Master Wato, Yo, who came dressed out as Toru Yano, which they team with Yano also. So these are all the teams in there. So I'm not really gonna go. It's just, it was a lot going on. It's almost kind of crazy to see Zack Sabre Jr. and Shota Umino on the first thing of this official card, given they were the main event of Wrestle Kingdom last year. Not saying it was a bad match, but it never really felt like a big main event all the way. And Zack Sabre Jr. was the world champion last year, so it's kind of crazy to see that. Then again, El Sonata was world champion. You see where a lot of these guys are. But I don't remember every elimination from here. Like I said, a lot of guys were thrown over the top rope. What was it? I think they even said, like, what, Tiger Mask team? I think they said he's supposed to retire in June, so this is his final Tokyo Dome show. I remember, like, I think it was like Uemura or something, or Taichi doing a power bomb, and they both went out to the outside of the ring. Like I say, if you get one of your teammates get eliminated, everybody's basically eliminated at this point, okay? So I know they had that going on. I know Sonata tried to low blow Yo, but Yo got knocked off the apron, so I guess there was going to be new tag team champions after that. And basically the House of Torture guys, they knocked Sonata onto the ground, but they caught him. But Yano ended up pulling Sonata off the apron, so they were eliminated. So the final teams was basically Bishamon and Bolton Oleg versus TMDK. Basically, Bishamon, I know they tried to get Hartley Jackson. Zach, I think he did like the Zach driver, or maybe it was by submission. Was it by submission? I'm really trying to remember if it was in that. But basically, TMDK won the match, and Zack Sabre Jr. ended up pinning Bolton Oleg to win. I think what's crazy to me about this match is this. So, Zack Sabre Jr. and Rhea Owa won the World Tag League, right? So they would get a tag title shot against Bullet Club War Dogs there, which, by the way, why the IWGP Tag Champions in this never Openweight 6-man tag title cluster and everything. Why didn't they just put the tag titles on the line in the Tokyo Dome instead of waiting until New Year's Dash to do it? Like, they won the World Tag League, so wouldn't that match be... I would have had this match on the card than do this very cluster Rambo match and for the 6-man tag title. So it's kind of crazy, like Zack Sabre Jr. now, so maybe they'll become double champions by New Year's Dash tomorrow. I don't know, since they just won the never Openweight 6-man tag titles, but this was a clusterfuck, okay? This was just too much going on here, so I don't really got a lot to say about it, but it was just all over the place, and it went like 20 minutes. Next, a double title match, the first one throughout the night, for the IWGP Women's and Strong Women's, New Japan Strong Women's title, which was Syuri versus Saya Kaminati. I have to say, this was a really good match. I actually did end up enjoying this match. I don't really know much about both women. I know I've heard the name Syuri before, so I have seen her in the past, but I did enjoy this match, and it was pretty good. And I gotta say, they gave them a lot of time out here. I know we don't see a lot of women in New Japan when it comes to, like I said, they got an IWGP Women's title and a New Japan Strong Women's title, but I think they usually kind of defend that in America. I had seen most of the time. But I did enjoy this match. Like I said, I don't know much about both women, but I did like it. Syuri, I think, Syuri ended up getting the win. So now she is the new double champion. Ended up winning the, because she was already IWGP Women's Champion, so she won the New Japan Strong Women's title also. But I did like it. I did like the finish. And she beat Kaminati. So, really good match. Definitely one of the really good matches of the night. So I didn't know much going into it, but I definitely enjoyed it. Next was a 10-man tag match. which was Bullet Club War Dogs and unaffiliated, basically the former LIJ, versus the United Empire. On obviously Bullet Club War Dogs and unaffiliated side, you have David Finlay, Drilla Maloney, Gabe Kidd, which I don't even know why nobody in Bullet Club War Dogs questioned Gabe Kidd going to AEW this many times to team up with Moxley and them. Hiromu Takahashi and Shingo Takagi. And they went against the United Empire of Callum Newman. The return of Hanare. We haven't seen Hanare in a very long time, over a year now. I think the last time I saw him was, I don't know if it was World Tag League or something, but I think he got hurt, and I knew they were trying to help him up. He got hurt pretty badly, so he had been gone for over a year. The Great Okan, Andrade, I guess he is now part of the United Empire, and the former La Sombra, he hasn't been in a New Japan ring in over 10 years now. Hell, he's the guy that got Naito in the Los Ingobernables to form Los Ingobernables de Japón, and he's kind of going against some former Los Ingobernables members right here, but he's the financial backer of United Empire, and they did say AEW in his name, so he's probably going to be back on AEW television soon, since I guess they got that whole contract thing sorted out. Listen, his whole story is crazy right now, but it looks like Rush got him a good lawyer and fixed that whole weird thing with WWE and the contract stuff. So I guess he's going to be on AEW television soon, because it's like this guy is just in WWE 1 minute, then AEW, then WWE, then AEW again. Then he can't be on AEW. Now he's on New Japan. So Andrade is just kind of all over the place, but it looks like maybe everything is sorted out now. And they had a mystery partner too, which was Jake Lee. Jake Lee actually was with Bullet Club War Dogs before, but he had a knee injury, so he hadn't been seen in a very, very long time. I would say this was a chaotic tag match. I felt like mostly everybody got a chance to shine in this match. You know, Andrade doing his whole Tranquilo thing out there, doing like a big springboard tornado, which would look pretty crazy. Gabe Kidd clotheslining people to the floor. He does like a big moonsault then. Andrade does that back fist on him. Shingo and Hanare start going at it with clotheslines and stuff. And everything. I know they Hanare ended up taking him down. Him and Great Okan basically do like a big double power bomb in on him. Drilla and Shingo end up taking both United Empire guys down, doing they whole chant thing after that. Try to remember like everything that went throughout this match. Shingo and Hanare still going back at it, headbutting each other. Newman and David Finlay, go back and forth. Newman just flies all over the place. I will say that. Finlay ended up, avoiding a stunner and everything, and he ended up tagging Hiromu then, which he ended up using. Both guys started using each other's weapons then, which Finlay ended up power bombing Hiromu Takahashi to the outside of the ring, and whatnot. Even Hiromu doing like a big dive to everybody on the outside then. Trying to remember what else happened. Like I said, everybody still keep kind of going back and forth. I know it's a lot of finishers towards the end. Great Okan doing like a big volley slam. Shingo doing an eliminator. Does the pumping bomber onto Hanare, onto the floor, takes him down. Kind of like right after that, then like Hiromu ended up like going to the camera then after like doing like a big dive to the outside on everybody. He yells into the camera then, and Jake Lee takes him down with a big boot, and then he gets him back in the ring and does another big boot basically into the corner. 1, 2, 3, it's over after that. So the United Empire wins. Basically right after somebody had got in the ring with a mask on and ended up taking out Hiromu then. It was Francisco Akira. So it looks like they're trying to get the United Empire back on track again, because a lot of guys have either left the United Empire now. Come on, Jeff Cobb left months ago and went to the WWE. We already know what Will Ospreay is. So the United Empire has been pretty down. The TJP situation is pretty weird too. But now I guess they got Andrade, and Hanare now is back into the fold of things, and now Jake Lee is part of the team. So we'll see what happens with the United Empire then, since they're really trying to get them back on track. I don't know how many times Andrade is going to, appear in New Japan. I'm sure he will be a few times until, they get the whole aid. It's kind of crazy. This guy was just in the Don Callis family, but now he had to go because of contract problems. Now he's in New Japan and part of a group now again. So it is pretty wild to see his whole situation. But like I said, at least he got to be on Wrestle Kingdom. But like I said, just a crazy tag match, which I don't know, man. I feel like this tag match you could just put on any New Japan show. Like, did it really need to be on Wrestle Kingdom? Not really, but given people were coming back and you're trying to re-debut people or returning, I get why they did it. Next was a fatal four-way for a number one contender shot at the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Doki was there to watch from ringside, which I thought it was kind of odd. Why did they not? And I think this is the shortest match of the night too. Why did they not just put the title on the line at Wrestle Kingdom? Now, if anybody remembers from the year before, it was Desperado versus Doki, but Doki and him like doing like a big senton off the top rope onto the floor and dislocated his whole elbow that they had to end the match right there. And it was unfortunate what happened. I know he returned months later, now becoming the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight and Junior Tag Team Champion. So it was a fatal four-way between El Desperado, Kosei Fujita, Taiji Ishimori, and Sho. Basically, Doki left Sho to do the dirty work for him. Obviously, other House of Torture members were out there throughout this match then, as a lot of guys ended up trying to jump Sho. He hit a crazy package power driver or like tiger driver, which was insane out there. It was pretty rough. Obviously, the referee went down in throughout the match, and the House of Torture, they get involved. But then we have like Robbie Exton, a lot of people's tag partners throughout this match end up coming in. He's part of Bullet Club and stuff, but like part of War Dogs. Robbie Eagles is helping in. Kukai, I don't know much about him, but he's helping. So everybody's like diving onto like the House of Torture, getting rid of them. Then Sho comes in with like a metal sheet. By the way, I think he was dressed like some devil or somebody from Tekken, what I heard, but he came out dressed like that. But like, so he's hitting people with like a sheet. Then he has like the package power driver onto Fujita. Then Desperado broke it up. Desperado hit like the tiger like driver or Pinche Loco basically. Pretty rough too, by the way, towards the end for the win. So I guess at New Year's Dash now, Desperado will go against Doki, since the match didn't happen really last year at the Tokyo Dome. So now they're gonna do it on the New Year's Dash show. I don't know why. At least they had a story to kind of explain it when you look it up and figure why this match happened. But I think they should have just put the title on the line. I'm sorry, it's your biggest show of the year. Why are we not putting on the line the Tokyo Dome? So I just think that was pretty weird. It's like a lot of these matches kind of getting, until we get to the main matches that matter, a lot of these matches I feel like didn't need to be on the card. But we all know why the show sold out, obviously. But some of these matches didn't really feel like they needed to be on Wrestle Kingdom. So, like I said, it happened, but it's like you're just setting up matches for the next day instead of doing it at the Dome. But it is what it is, I guess. New Japan also announced several dates coming throughout the year. I guess they could have like a Despe Invitational, Def Vegas, which will be, I'm sure, WrestleMania weekend, since they said it was April. I know they talked about other events happening, including the G1. Now, the G1 is actually going to be kicking off in the U.S. This year in Chicago at the Now Arena, which I don't know why they just didn't go back to Wintrust. It looks like New Japan goes to Wintrust almost every year now. But let's pick the furthest building out that's not really in Chicago, but the outskirts of Chicago. Now, the last time New Japan even had the G1 in America was actually almost a few years ago. I want to say 2018, 2019. And this is when New Japan was really hot at the time, too. And it was in Texas, which, listen, like the American Airlines Center, listen, they did not sell out that building, okay? It was a lot of empty seats. I don't know how many people was there. They had their core fan base there, but they were not going to sell out that big of a building in Texas, okay? And there were a lot of big names at the time, part of New Japan, that were still there. And it was a good show. I remember it was like on Access TV and everything. So maybe they'll have a better chance here because it's Chicago and it's a wrestling city. I just wish they wouldn't have picked the furthest building within this city. It's not really in Chicago. It's the outskirts of Chicago. Like I said, it's the Now Arena. But I am interested that it is coming. It will be in July, though. So, like I said, G1 Climax, the opener, coming in July to Chicago. We'll see what happens. Now, we actually get to the next big three matches that really matter throughout this show. Is first the Never Openweight Championship on the line. Aaron Wolf versus Evil. Aaron Wolf, he had been in the Olympics. He won a gold medal for judo. I had heard about this guy many, many months ago now, and people start calling him the next Kurt Angle, which it looks like anybody that comes from the Olympics and transfers into professional wrestling now has to live up to the standard of Kurt Angle now, which I feel like I've seen too many names say that at this point. Hey, look what happened to Gable Stevenson, how many people thought he was going to be the next Kurt Angle. Look what happened there. Aaron Wolf, though, basically he removed his judo gear then, and basically he was dressed as a young lion. He had the black trunks on, like the shaved haircut now. He'd been training, obviously, for a while now, even with Tanahashi and others. So, like I said, this guy is basically a young, full young lion coming out there. I enjoyed Evil's entrance. I thought it was the best creative entrance throughout the whole night. Him coming from the ground with the gates and having like some guy on the guitar play the whole House of Torture to the ring then, which was pretty cool. Obviously, Evil went after Wolf then. Wolf came back with strikes. Obviously, Evil threw him to ringside. He did that whole thing with the chair around his neck and then hitting it and looking it away like it was like a baseball going into the air. Evil was throwing Wolf in like to the corner several times. Wolf ended up like judoing him down to the mat, but Evil kept countering it, going back after him. I know the House of Torture guys tried to get involved. Sonata and his rocket boots, getting involved within this match. Wolf is just judo throwing a lot of House of Torture guys down. Evil ended up throwing some like powder in his eyes then and kicking him in the nuts. He hit him with like a sharpshooter, but Wolf eventually ended up getting to the ropes then right after. He ended up getting up, firing up then, going like taking down Evil with a big clothesline, hit him with a slam, and then even did a big splash off the top rope. He had Evil pinned, but basically the House of Torture guys ended up pulling the referee out to the ground then. They put a table in the ring. Bad Luck, I'm sorry, Don Fale, not Bad Luck Fale, did a big dive onto Wolf through the table, which, by the way, that table broke that was a pretty rough spot. I'm not gonna lie. Those Japanese tables look rough. Okay, I've never liked those Japanese tables, man. It looked like they always either cut you real bad or somehow injure you. Okay, but even after that, like Master Wato and Yano and Yo came out. They ended up helping Wolf then, super kicking and taking out the House of Torture guys, fighting them off. Evil hit like another big clothesline in, which he pinned Wolf, but Wolf got out of it. He tried to like get ready to go for the everything is evil move after, but Wolf ended up rolling him over and got him into a submission hold and put his legs around his head, which Evil ended up giving up then after. So Aaron Wolf, I gotta say he did good out here. Obviously, the multiple interferences protected him out there, and I know they had like a photo op. Listen, the crowd really did pop for this guy when he came out, so people know who he was and they knew how big of a deal it was with him in New Japan and that this guy was in the Olympics and stuff. So obviously he posed it for the photographers and everything. To what I heard, Evil maybe leaving this company after. I know they said speculation going on after that, but I'm not really sure. But like I said, Wolf though, like I said, he did good for his opening match. I'm sure some people thought he probably wasn't going to win, but obviously they got a lot invested in him. So, hell, they even gave him a title match, too, for his first match. Like, he's making his debut match in the Tokyo Dome, and now he's the never Openweight champion. So, like I said, he's a young boy, young lion and everything now, but obviously they want this guy to be really be a big deal. So, we'll see what happens with Aaron Wolf. Like I said, I think people stop saying the next Kurt Angle all the time, but all I can do is say, let's wait and see. Next, which I thought was the best match of the night, was once again another double title match. The IWGP World title and the IWGP Global title on the line. Konosuke Takeshita versus Yota Tsuji. I know Takeshita had Rocky Romero out there with him. Like I said, this was the best match of the night. I know a lot of fans are kind of going off on Takeshita like the day before this show happened. Because, listen, I get it. Takeshita is like triple contracted right now with 3 different companies, from AEW to New Japan and DDT. And I guess since a lot of New Japan fans saw what he was doing on DDT, a lot of people question why they even have the belt on him. And listen, it's a lot. Listen, when it comes to that DDT promotion, I know it's a lot of weird shit down there. I've seen it before. Even when I remember they brought Takeshi to AEW, I was like, when I heard he came from DDT, I was already kind of rolling my eyes because like I know how they get down there. I've seen the weird stuff they do down there, and I know I saw the weird stuff he did yesterday. But Takeshita is really great though, so there's a reason why they have him. I do think it's kind of funny that the main event and the co-main event has like 2 AEW guys going against 2 main New Japan guys too. Even though like these guys are contracted, well, Takeshita is, but Okada was like obviously the golden child of New Japan basically, and now he's like in AEW now, so it's kind of pretty crazy to see. But I think this was the best match of the night. I really got better later on. I know they kind of like go back and strikes. I know it's a lot of no selling half the time with like a suplex, like what Takeshi does, like a German suplex. It, like Tsuji just charges into him into like to the turnbuckle. Then, in him like give him like a big power bomb right after he tried to hit a knee strike. Takeshita doing the raging fire, but Tsuji getting his foot onto the ropes. Then Takeshi trying to come back with another knee strike for a near fall, taking him down a knee pad. Then with Tsuji end up headbutting him. With Tsuji, said let's go, let's do this. Which who strikes first here? Tsuji ends up hitting the Gene Blaster then onto Takeshita, taking him down. And right after that, he hit the Boston Crab on him and made Takeshita tap out. And this match went almost like 30 minutes, by the way, too. So, it didn't even feel that long, to be honest. So, like, these guys, like, diving out of the ring. Maybe because, like, the match was so good, it just kind of went by. Like I said, a lot of this show went by really fast. Obviously, the last few matches got a lot of time, like the co-main event and the main event. But a lot of these matches, they just kind of, it just ran, like, the show ran through pretty quickly. Like, it really did. It just kind of, like, ran really fast. Like, it just kind of came and went. So, it's like, until we got to, like, the last few matches, that's when it was, like, a lot of time in them then. But he made Takeshita tap out. And now, like, Tsuji is now the IWGP World and Global Champion. So now he is a double champion. He got on the microphone then with both the belts. And, basically Takeshita saying he's found his rival now. And he could not bear losing him. And before he could really try to talk to the fans, Jake Lee ended up attacking Tsuji from behind and, like, hitting his finisher on him. And then, like, holding up both the titles then. I didn't really need to see, like, the post-match stuff. It looked like they tried to recreate, like, Naito and Kenta from Wrestle Kingdom in, like, 2020 when he won the double title thing. And then Kenta attacked him from behind so he couldn't get his big speech going. I think they could have probably just waited till New Year's Dash to do that. I didn't think they really needed to do that right now. Just wait till the next night. But obviously this now sets up Tsuji's first opponent for the title. And I know, like I said, Jake Lee just came back, so we'll see what happens from there. But now we actually reached the main event, Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement match. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada with Geto back with him. I have to say, Okada was full AEW mode right here, obviously with his new music, and the AEW International Championship he brought with him too, since he's not the Unified Continental Champion anymore. Like I said, both guys made their big entrance. This is the third match. Well, not the third match, but it's been 10 years since both of these guys faced each other in the Tokyo Dome and stuff. So, obviously, like Tanahashi, Okada, it makes sense for this to be Tanahashi's final match. I know a lot of people want to Nakamura, and I'll get to that in a few minutes, but Okada makes the most sense. Like, we've seen the matches both of these guys have had with each other since, like, 2012 when it all started. And like I said, it's been 10 years since they faced with inside of the Tokyo Dome. I don't remember the win-loss record with both of them, but their rivalry, some even compared to, like, Cena and Orton in a way, for how long both of these guys have faced each other for years now. But I have to say, like, once again, this is another long match, but it kind of went by too. Tanahashi, obviously, him and Okada start going back. He goes for, like, that dragon screw kick throughout the match. I know he's focused on Okada's knee a lot, which Okada went to the floor doing, like, the drop kick on him out there. Tanahashi hitting the aces high from, the crossbody, just doing it from the top rope all the way to the floor. He got back in the ring then, still hit him with, like, another dragon screw. He went for Okada, but Okada caught him. He with a net breaker. Got him with, like, an elbow drop in. He was gonna do he did his Rainmaker pose, but he just middle fingered the whole camera then. So, like I said, he's just full on AEW heel mode out here. Tanahashi came back with, like, the twist and shout a few times. I know he tried to go for the ropes then, but Okada stopped him. Okada ended up doing, like, a pile driver then onto in the ring, but then he got him to the outside of the ring, and then he pile driving him onto the ramp. And basically, Okada was trying to win by count out, but Tana got back in, like, by, like, 18 and 19, because the ring out count goes, like, to 20. Okada tried to do, like, another tombstone, but like I said, Tana come back with clotheslines, even hit him, like, with his own Rainmaker then, dodging the Rainmaker. Okada ended up hitting the Rainmaker eventually on him then. Like I said, it's like a lot of back and forth finishers within this match. Even like in the submission holds, like Okada got like the Boston Crab, Tana got out of it. He started firing up again, and like I say, he ducked the Rainmaker, and then he like hit him with the Sling Blade, obviously, and then he put him in like a sleeper hold, and basically he just kind of doing some callbacks to like obviously the Three Musketeers of New Japan before, which is Tanahashi, Nakamura, and Shibata, which he like puts him in a sleeper hold and it does like the PK kick, and then even after that he starts like doing Nakamura's like pose and everything, and everybody does the Yawa, the Kinshasa or the Bumaye kick, which is in New Japan. I know everybody calls it the Kinshasa in WWE, but he basically channeled Nakamura right there. He went for the high fly flow, but Okada kicked out. Tana hit him like a full Nelson like suplex then right after. And stuff. Like Okada was still trying to get out of it. Tana like bridged him. He goes for another high fly flow into the back of Okada. I almost thought it was kind of over right here, but he rolled him over, went for another one. Okada got his knees up then, and both guys just start throwing elbows at each other several times. Try to say like I know they want like they do like several elbows, but yeah, so like keep coming back with like elbow strike after elbow strike and elbow strike. Tana like tried to go for another one, but Okada got him with the drop kick then. Tana still tried to stand. Okada just kind of waited on him to get himself up. Okada and him like putting like into like a body slam, but they kept trying to do like some type of slam, but Okada had like it was a Destino then right after. But then obviously he did like a Rainmaker. Yeah, he ended up doing like another Rainmaker then. But nah, after like Okada hit like another Rainmaker on the Tana, then like Tana kicked out, which Okada basically, he slammed him one more time, hit the elbow drop, actually did his Rainmaker pose like correctly, and the crowd went nuts for it. He had one more Rainmaker then right after and beat Hiroshi Tanahashi for one final time. So gotta say it was a really good match though. I gotta say that. Obviously it's a lot of story involved in this, and the crowd was at the edge of their seats. Like I said, it's Tanahashi's last match, so you know how invested everybody's gonna be into this. But I did enjoy this match though in general. Right after like Tanahashi was, he was on the ground, Okada basically smiled. He got on the mic then, he says, Tana, you must be tired, but let me just say one thing. Thank you. Okada bowed then, and he took his title and he left with Gato then. So as Okada and Gato left, Tanahashi, he ended up getting up. The fans, basically give him a standing ovation in, and basically this is when now the retirement ceremony begins. I know they had like officials out there giving Tanahashi flowers then, and then next thing you know, we saw several people come out. We saw Jay White, Switchblade Jay White. We haven't seen Jay White in a while, anyways, but it's good to see him back in a New Japan Pro Wrestling ring. Obviously Jay White came out and shook hands with Tana, gave him his flowers, and hugged right after that. So it was good to see him. They did obviously a photo op. Right after that, Will Ospreay came out. Then I knew they said he was gonna be here for the retirement ceremony. He basically did the same thing. Shook hands. Posed and everything, hugged Tanahashi. Kenny Omega's music hit, The Devil's Sky, and Kota Ibushi came out too, limping to the ring. So we kind of got the Golden Lovers here. Listen, if you know the situation with Ibushi and New Japan, you wouldn't even think he'd be really back within this company. But since Tanahashi is the president, I'm sure he pulls some strings. Not Tanahashi, but Ibushi, man, he was really messed up here. Okay, he had a rough time getting to the ring, and I know he's still recovering from a broken femur, but I think he probably should have had some crutches or leaned on to Omega. But this guy is really fucked up, though. And I know Ibushi has had a lot of very bad to major injuries in the past few years, and which this guy has just looked like he's been hanging on a thread. Even in AEW, it looked like at one point I just thought he looked really bad, that he was moving in slow motion and out of shape. He looked better recently, until the broken femur, but he has just had a lot of bad luck with injuries. I know he said he plans on making a full recovery and coming back. I don't know when that will be, but I feel like he should have been on crutches coming to the ring, but I guess he just wanted to, tough it out and go off his willpower there. But, he wanted to come out and celebrate Tanahashi and everything. So, yeah, Omega and Ibushi came out and celebrated with Tanahashi then and posed and, flowers and stuff. Katsuri Shibata came out, and like I said, Tanahashi was crying throughout most of the thing. I feel like we see Tanahashi cry a lot all the time, but Shibata came out. I know he had like his Ops T-shirt on. He was basically in his gear, plugging his ears. He gave the flowers and spoke to Tana and took off his shirt. And both guys just started trading chops then and hugged each other. You know, very emotional. They were like the Three Musketeers and everything in New Japan from years ago. And holding up Tanahashi's arm, and he left the ring and was gone after that. We also got the Great Muta out there. Keiji Muto came in, same thing. Tatsumi Fujinami got in the ring. Basically the same thing too. And then like all the guys end up taking like a group photo with each other. Even Muto doing a selfie with Tanahashi and Fujinami then. And as everybody, you know, shook hands with Tanahashi and left the ring. Next thing you know, Tetsuya Naito's music hit in, and everybody popped for that and started chanting his name. But then his music changed then. And by the way, Naito, obviously in Naito fashion, took the longest time to come out, which Tanahashi meant to put his wrist on the watch. We are on a time limit here. And basically, I know Naito and Bushi, they had new music. They are now the current GHC Tag Team Champions. They debuted for Pro Wrestling Noah literally like 2-3 days ago now. I know Naito and Bushi left New Japan Pro Wrestling several months ago now, since like May, I believe. And they've been kind of like doing their own thing, basically. But I know they're in Pro Wrestling Noah now, and they got the GHC tag titles. Bushi had like obviously a custom Go Ace mask, then even did like the mist thing into the flowers and handing the Tanahashi. Naito doing his usual entrance and, you know, saying buenas noches to the Tokyo Dome, and basically talked to Tanahashi. Basically, you know, you were the standard of this company and why he got in because of Muta, but he just wanted, you know, it's like, hey, I may not ever wrestle in a New Japan pro wrestling ring ever again, but maybe someday him and Tana will be here in New Japan somehow, some way, like in a way like they will, you know, they will be back in sometime, one more time in the ring. Not in the match, but just me and Tana one day. And Naito ended up like doing his LIJ fist bump thing, which Tana ended up, you know, putting his fist up too. And then Naito did his spat thing, basically in respect. So Naito and Bushi left in right after. They then gave the mic to Tanahashi then. Basically, you know, he spoke to the fans. You know, talked about we're in front of a sold-out Tokyo Dome. He's glad he got to see it in his final match. And obviously, he did his whole air guitar thing. He usually does at the end of matches. Fans clapped along, and he got everybody to do like a big wave then. And then even right after, there was like a 10-bell salute basically for his retirement then. As you know, he was crying into the ring, and he bowed to the fans and stuff. And obviously, he shook hands, and, you know, all over the place and took selfies and hugged fans. And even when he got to the top of the stage, I have to say one thing. I really did like the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom stage. I like the whole curtains and everything with like the little theater and stuff. So I actually thought they actually got really creative with the stage this year. You know, Tanahashi, you know, obviously he's just kind of limping and, you know, shaking hands with the fans still. He even got like on this like type of like a moving ramp and stuff, which they went all around like a cart. Like they went all around the Tokyo Dome, and he waved to the fans. It was really going on. This like I said, this ceremony was going on for a long time, so he took a very long lap there until he got back to the stage, got up on the microphone, and he thanked everybody. He gave it all he had, and he's glad he fell in love with pro wrestling. And, you know, he thanked everybody for support and keep supporting New Japan Pro Wrestling. And, you know, he did his final thing. I, Shema, basically saying, I love you, and waved to the fans. And he went through the double doors with the smoke as they closed it, which ended Wrestle Kingdom right there. So I have to say, this was one hell of a retirement ceremony and run. It is almost crazy looking at both John Cena and Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement runs and how night and day they are. To be honest, looking at it. Now, yeah, I'm sure some would say like Tanahashi has a little bit more stroke. He is the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, so he probably was able to do a little bit more. But obviously, Cena had stroke within WWE, but I felt like he wasn't really saying enough until, you know, obviously the recent interviews. But given how, like, you just look at both their retirement runs and how many matches they had, at least I know Cena had other commitments, movies and stuff too, so I know that's different. I know he's talking in interviews, but sometimes it's a little bit hard to believe Cena sometimes because there's so many PR corporate answers. You don't know what is a PR answer or if he's really actually telling the truth. But you can kind of tell when a lot of his answers are like, just PR. Like I said, man's a politician basically. But I just say like Tana's, just given how many matches he done throughout the entire year, even if it wasn't the biggest matches, he did like 100 something matches to like Cena's maybe 30 and with his limited dates. So it's just different looking at both companies. But I have to say, like, this retirement run, like, this whole ceremony was really good. Okada being his final opponent really made the most sense. I know a lot of people want to see Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm sure people thought Shinsuke Nakamura would have even came out during the ceremony, but given I saw him on SmackDown last Friday, I figured he wasn't going to be there. And, WWE contract, and they weren't about to allow that. I know those other guys that faced Tanahashi before that are in WWE right now, like AJ Styles or Finn Balor and others that have went against him before, but obviously they could not really make it. I'm sure they said something online, but they were not gonna be at the show. But it was cool seeing like a lot of Tanahashi's like biggest opponents there. Like some of them, like I said, Omega, Ibushi, Jay White, Will Ospreay, Muda, Fujinami, and I'm sure there's like a lot of people. Obviously, there's a lot of people Tanahashi has faced. Like like I said, guys like Nakamura or Shibata or AJ Styles or Zack Sabre Jr. or like I said, he's got a long list of opponents. I don't even know. Listen, I haven't watched all of Tanahashi's career straight through. Okay, but from what I have seen, like the guys always put on a lot of great matches with a lot of these guys too. But it is just really different just looking at how both retirement tours and ceremonies have gone and just even just saying goodbye to the fans and the waves and just the guitar thing and just it's just weird looking at how WWE did it and how it kind of ended for a disaster with them. But it's like this really ended perfectly, I guess in New Japan's case for Tanahashi's big retirement ceremony and just the whole retirement in general. So it really was it was a big deal. Like it really was. I will say this though, like I said, I didn't really get into New Japan pro wrestling like that till like maybe 2016, 17. Like I always knew what New Japan was before. Obviously maybe a little WCW, and I obviously remember like the Global Impact shows between TNA and New Japan, but I didn't really start watching until like 2016, obviously Bullet Club, 15, 16, like Bullet Club and the whole Okada Omega match, which everybody knows. And, obviously you learn history throughout time too with a lot of these guys and you figure out who they are. Like I said, this is when New Japan was at its hottest at the time throughout those years. So obviously I've seen not all the Okada Tanahashi matches in real time, but I've watched the past ones too just to learn more about it and their feud and everything Tanahashi has basically done within this company. So it's like I learned the history throughout time. I'm glad I got to see Hiroshi Tanahashi live. I've seen him live maybe at least 2 times. I saw him live when I went to the Forbidden Door show, the first Forbidden Door show between AEW and New Japan, when he went against Jon Moxley for the interim AEW World Championship, and obviously this year in his final match in America for Tanahashi in Chicago against Konosuke Takeshita, which was really good. Like, you gotta give Tana like a lot of credit for like really pushing it throughout this entire year. Because listen, I know the guy's knees are pretty shot, and we've seen this guy limp very heavily to the ring. When I saw it live, he was kind of like the old Tana again. Even really is. Like, it was like a hit or miss thing. You're either going to get the Tana that can kind of go from like a few years ago, or you're going to get current Tana. But the man's body is pretty shot out there and stuff. So there's a reason why he was done after this year. Okay, so we get why he was done after this. But I think he did go out obviously with a pretty big bang here to, like I said, to end off his career. Listen, I know it's like a lot of other retirement runs obviously still happening. It looks like throughout the year, I know they say AJ Styles is supposed to retire, or Brock Lesnar. I feel like JDC is supposed to retire, get ready for that final match at Genesis. A lot of people are retiring from wrestling right now, okay? It's like I'm hearing more and more names retiring. Either like they've just basically just reached their limit and done everything they could throughout this entire time, or they want to get out now while they can still perform at a very high level, or they may be hurt and can't do it no more. But a lot of people are really kind of retiring within wrestling right now. I will say this about Wrestle Kingdom. Do I think this is one of the best Wrestle Kingdoms of all time? No, I don't, okay? This show is about Tanahashi. The reason why this show sold out is because of Tanahashi. Like I said, they had already sold out, but then opened up additional seats to even sell out more tickets so people could come see Tanahashi one more time in the Tokyo Dome in his final match. Listen, the matches that were really you needed to pay attention to, it looked like, was the retirement match and the IWGP World Title match. Okay, and I would say Aaron Wolf too, given they were making a big deal about him coming from the Olympics and everything. But I feel like the last three big matches really mattered throughout this show until like the world title match came on. It felt like you was watching Wrestle Kingdom then, okay? Because it had to be a big show. But I felt like a lot of other matches were either really didn't need to be on this card or you just had some surprises. Like I said, you had Andrade be on here and Jake Lee returning. I actually thought the IWGP New Japan Strong Women's title match was really good too. But a lot of it was either like the whole Rambo New Japan 6-man thing was a cluster. Like I said, I already talked about the 10-on-10. The Fatal 4-Way was very short, but it just kind of came and went by. So this show really moved fast. Like, it really moved fast to like the past 2-3 matches, okay? But do I think it was really a big Wrestle Kingdom show like that? Not really. Like I said, it was still a big show just for what was going on and the ceremony and all the other stuff, but as in for overall of the show, it was only 2 to 3 matches that really mattered going into this. Like, it really did. So, but let's be honest, if this wasn't for Tanahashi, I don't even know if the Tokyo Dome would have sold out again. Because I don't even think the Tokyo Dome has sold out in the past few years. I know New Japan has had a tough time in recent times, or whether you could talk about the AEW partnership or poaching talent or the pandemic. It's several things, and they've been trying to rebuild themselves. I know Tana is leading this whole company now, so we'll see what's going to happen next because, like I said, a lot of guys in New Japan right now that you probably knew from a few years ago, which is, that's what's crazy to me. Like, the first 5 people that came out there in, like, Tana's retirement ceremony, all of those guys are in AEW now. Jay White, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, Shibata. I'm like, dude, all these guys are basically in AEW right now. So it'd be like a lot of talent left. Like I said, Naito left the company, and he's gone from there. Like, we've seen a lot of guys either leave and gone somewhere else, whether it be AEW or WWE or Noah, or they just went somewhere else entirely. So New Japan's been trying to build new stars in the past few years, and hell, people complain about Takeshita because it's like you just gave the belt to technically an AEW guy again, an outsider. People have already talked about that. So I do feel like if this wasn't for Tanahashi, this show wouldn't have sold out. Even the show last year didn't sell out, if I'm not mistaken. I heard it was like lower fans than usual last year for the Tokyo Dome. But like I said, the reason why Wrestle Kingdom sold out was because of the Tanahashi retirement and against Okada and all that too. So, like I said, I still enjoyed the show. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna say like Wrestle Kingdom was like the biggest show going on right now. It was only like a few things that really mattered going into this. Okay, so overall, I still think it was a pretty enjoyable show though, from what I saw, especially towards the end. And I thought the ceremony retirement thing was great. Like I said, it's just insane how night and day it is when you look at John Cena's whole retirement thing compared to Tanahashi's retirement. Is like you know which one is better by default. You know which one is way better by default. Okay, and I didn't even watch every Tanahashi match throughout the year, throughout this whole time. I saw what I saw, but even I had to say this is even better than what Cena had going on. But hey, that's WWE booking for you if you want to go from there. But other than that, Wrestle Kingdom 20. Still a really good show. Like I said, I watched this whole show in entirety, so I think it was worth sitting up for it. But other than that, that's all I got to say. Comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, HoodNight890. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell. Check out the end of the year 2025 review, which is uploading online right now. And we are out of here. I may come back with Raw tomorrow night too, since that's going to be the first big show of the year and a 1-year anniversary of Netflix. So I may be back for that tomorrow. But other than that, we out of here. Peace. And thank you, Tanahashi. Go Ace.